let's talk about Freud's defense mechanisms, with displacement being the first one. So remember we talked about the fact that he focused on the unconscious, and we had these nasty drives always threatening to come to the surface, and we can't let them come to the surface because they're not socially acceptable. Society is keeping us in check, and we're shoving them back down into the unconscious. And he thought our two main drives were sex and aggression. And so whenever these nasty little impulses would threaten to kind of bubble to the surface, Freud thought we used defense mechanisms to distort or thwart the impulse so as to make it socially acceptable. So let's go through these listed here. And you do have this worksheet listed under the chapter 13 folder that you can then practice with. All right, displacement is when, let's say, your boss at work pisses you off. Are you going to take it out on your boss? No. So who do you take it out on? You take it out on your significant other or your pets. So you might yell at them. So that's displacement. You're taking it out on a safer target, a more socially acceptable target. Reaction formation. The magic word there is the opposite. Okay, so you do the exact opposite of the impulse. So sex, I want to have sex, I'm going to become a priest. I want to be very aggressive, I become a doctor. So you're doing the opposite of what the impulse is. You're turning it on its head. Rationalization is making unacceptable behavior acceptable. So, take people that like to go hunting. Not picking on you hunters out there, but Freud would like this example. Freud would say you like to go hunting because you like to kill stuff, and that's a natural kind of human instinct. But we can't go around saying, I like watching Bambi's head explode. And so we go, oh, I do it for the sport, or I do it for the food, or I do it to help the deer population. And he would call that rationalization, making an excuse, making it socially acceptable, rather than just expressing an unacceptable impulse as is. Identification is when you start to identify with someone that has the qualities you wish you had. So we talked about this in the last part, where kids start to identify with the same sex parent so they can have those same qualities and eventually get a partner like their parent when they grow up. Okay? So identification is just, so you start to dress like the cool girl in school because you want to be like her. Repression, the magic word there is forgetting. So repression is you're shoving it so far down into the unconscious you don't even know it happened. So anytime somebody's forgetting something, it's going to be repression. So maybe you were sexually assaulted as a child and you have no memory of that. Okay, let's go over here to projection. Projection is when you are projecting your feelings onto someone else and saying they're not your feelings, they're somebody else's feelings. So I remember saying to a friend of mine, you must be really mad at me. And she's like, I'm not mad at you at all. And then she's like, oh, you're mad at me. So I was projecting my feelings onto her. I was saying she was mad at me when really I was the one that was mad. Regression is when you act younger than you are. You go back to a safe time when you were taken care of. So crying, throwing a temper tantrum, that would be regression, going back in time. Compensation, a lack in one area is made up for in another. So maybe somebody is very short, so they do extra bodybuilding to be extra manly on another dimension. Sublimation is when you take an unacceptable impulse and you actually turn it into something society's going to applaud you for. So maybe you have really strong aggression instincts, so you go into the military, or you go into the police, or you go into demolition work. You can let out the impulse, and you can do it in a socially acceptable way. And then denial, you're just not facing reality. So I'm not an alcoholic is kind of a classic denial situation when you know they are. Okay, I hope that helped explain. And so go ahead down and check out the worksheet that I posted for you, and the answers are there too. If you have any questions about why something's the right answer, just let me know. All right, have a good day, and we'll continue this chapter later. Bye.